Sis and Tell. Sis and Tell. A whole lot of talk about a whole lot of nothing. Sis and Tell. Amanda to stand up and Alison's on TV. When they hop on the phone, yeah, you know it's the place you wanna be. Sis and Tell.
Hey, Allie.
Hey, man. What's going on?
So I'm like in Hawaii and having the best time. It's so gorgeous here.
Well, you know, the beauty of virtual backgrounds is we can just be anywhere we want at the click of the
Right.
button, right?
I know. Yeah. No, I keep on seeing like cartoon movies on Disney and being like, I would love to go visit there.
Yeah.
Or like the screensavers on your TV. And I'm like, that looks gorgeous. And then I go on a pretend trip, which I have not done since junior year abroad. I was in Israel or junior semester. And I'm just going to, spoiler alert, I kissed a lot of boys. And ended up, and I
At the
ended up-
underground, was the underground still around?
Yeah, it was, but I don't think we went there. I think that was kind of cheesy, but which is like a techno club. But no, I ended up getting mono like the last 2 months I was there.
All right.
But I had planned to go to UK and Ireland, Scotland, all that, which is part of that's included in the UK. And I had a Let's Go UK Ireland or
Yeah.
UK Scotland. I forget whatever those books were. So I planned the entire trip and highlighted things. And then I took that trip in my head because I was so sick. I was stuck in the bed. I literally took this trip in my head. It was so fun. And then when I woke up from this fake vacation, I had to cancel it. So, because I was
That's so
I was
sad.
like too sick to go. It was so sad. I kind of wish I had just gone.
Yeah.
But anyway, so I'm doing that. I see like these vacation spots that are not even real. They're in fictitious worlds. And I'm like, I'm ready to go there.
Well, I think one of the things, and we may have talked about this, that I think people are now doing is realizing that they can either take a staycation, right? Stay in their own city or, you know, vicinity and find fun and safe things to do, or just drive somewhere, right? And rent an Airbnb. I think the Airbnb business, which first went way down because nobody was going anywhere, and now is, I think, going gangbusters because people are, you know, they want to go, they want to stay in their bubble or with their family.
Local. They want and they're
Right.
doing local vacations.
Yeah. And they want to do things that, you know, they want to be outside, they want to hike, they, you know, especially while the weather is still decent. So they're trying to find things to do where they can at least just change their scenery, right? Like that's why, I mean, I've always had a home office, so I've had the benefit of always having a setup here. I've just never had to have a true setup where I don't leave my house. I'm usually at meetings. I'm usually doing face-to-face interviews. I'm usually traveling. This is my high season of travel to go do speaking engagements. Obviously, none of that is happening. Everything keeps getting pushed. And so, you know, I just have to figure out different places in my house or outside on my porch or ways to change
Yeah.
the scenery, or else I will go crazy, literally.
Yeah.
But at least you're a consistent. I like this, that we can still do this. Can you imagine if we didn't have this podcast?
Oh my gosh.
I think it's
need
saving
this.
me.
I need this so bad. I can't even tell you. I miss being on stage. And if I'm in any situation where I run into someone, it's like an open mic and they're like, what's happening? I pull out a microphone from my back pocket and I'm like, welcome to the stage, Amanda Goldstein Marks. Woo! And then I just start working out my new material.
There you go.
So I'm the most annoying neighbor.
Well, as much as COVID has been it's just been the worst year ever. I think everybody's going to need a t-shirt, right? Worst year ever. Let's leave it behind. We need a total redo. You know, I think everybody tries to find some blessings, at least on a daily basis, however small they are. And knowing that as the meme many months ago went, you know, we may all be in the same boat, but we're all in different storms, right? Like, I do not take for granted that as crazy as life gets, right? There's always someone who has it far worse and far more stressful. But anyway, so our boys have really, I think, adapted to this new normal and really creative and innovative ways. And our oldest, especially, right, Arthur, who should be a sophomore in college, took off this quarter because he sort of saw the writing on the wall and took a gap quarter. Let's also back up. He took a gap year after high school. So anything with the word gap in it, he seems to be attracted to, right? So, hey, let's take a gap. But he
Much
said,
like the 90s with my clothing decisions.
Exactly.
If it said Gap on it, I was like, sure, totally Gap.
Yeah, you have a lot in common there. But he was allowed to take a gap quarter, and he's been working out west at this little lodge near Jackson Hole, near Grand Teton National Park. And then as he's been doing that and realizing he's got a great life, right? Like, I mean, to be honest, he's cleaning toilets and he's doing maintenance work and working, in the kitchen and washing dishes. And he's so happy because when he's not working, he's out hiking and camping and enjoying nature and not worrying about, having to social bubble or isolate because he's just exploring with maybe one or two other people. So he's now, I think, officially decided he's going to take a whole nother gap year. And so now he's applied to work out west, and this is the best. He hopefully, I think he's going to take it, but to be a ski lift operator. Now, have you ever been skiing before?
So I've not been skiing, but I went snowboarding.
Well, same thing. Yeah.
Yeah, but so I always wanted to go snowboarding, right? It seemed like this really cool thing to do. And when Aaron and I lived in Albuquerque, this was right after we got married, before we had children. And we went snowboarding for his birthday. And we went to take snowboarding lessons. And 10 minutes in, Aaron waves goodbye at me and leaves me with the snowboarding instructor and these two 12-year-old girls.
Because that was the level you were in. Yes.
And so he tried to teach me. I'm a little risk averse, right? So anytime I felt like I was going too fast, I would just crouch down lower, and that just made me go faster. And then we had a break, and he goes, okay, after lunch, we're going to go in the ski lift. And I was like, that's not happening. I couldn't even do, there was like the kids ski lift, which isn't like a rope you hold on to that pulls you up. Like
it's a thing where it's almost like, oh my God, there used to be like a swing
sidewalk or something.
Yeah. Well, some of them where you put it like between your legs, you kind of sit on it, the rope pulls you up, or not that one.
I had to hold on to it so my upper body would go forward. And my legs just stayed where they
dragging
were.
You.
And then there are people behind me. And by people, I mean more 12-year-olds. And I was like 24, and I was like, this is not, and I kept on falling, and then it hurt my head. And so then when he said that after lunch we were going on the ski lift, I was like, I'm not getting on that thing. You want me to get on a ski lift? I'd never really been on a ski lift before. And I'm like, there's no safety belt. How do I get on it? How do I get off of it? What happens if I can't get off of it the right way? What if I fall off of it? And there's no one with me to talk me down from this hysteria. So no, I have not been on a ski lift.
Well, you have been snowboarding-ish, but so you never actually went on a ski lift?
No.
Well, and I think your anxiety is incredibly common, right? And I can go back. I didn't start. It is, because I didn't start skiing till I was an adult. So I was 26 or 27 when I started to downhill ski. I never tried to snowboard, so good for you. The boys do it. I do not. But I was also in lessons, right, for years. Alan would, we'd go on these vacations together, and with some friends, I would be with my friend Debbie. We did all of our lessons together. It was hysterical. So, but I remember, I can distinctly remember, even though now I do it, and there's still an anxiety. It's not the level it was, but getting on and off was far more scary to me than even going down the mountain for the first time, because you think that same thing, like, oh my gosh, this thing, it doesn't stop. It's not like it stops and you're like, okay, I'm going to make sure I'm seated and like all the way back. You have to just time it perfectly and get back, and then you're holding your poles, and then your skis are like clanging with each other, and then you have to bring down the bar so that you don't fall out, and it's not really a safety bar. I mean, it's just sort of an illusion, because you could slip under that bar pretty easily.
What? Oh my gosh.
I'm not trying to make this
Whoa.
scary for everybody, but all of this to say that Arthur, being a ski lift operator, I was telling him all of this. I said, it's far more than just, maintaining the safety of people getting on and off, which is very critical. I said, there's so many elements to it, because these are the people who set the attitude and literally the atmosphere on the mountain, right? Because they're the ones who are like, you got this, we'll slow it down for you, especially the little kids, right? And they're like, come on, buddy, we'll get you on here. They play good music, right? And they're always so happy. And I'm like, you're going to be like a first impressions manager. You're going to be on the slopes, and you get to be the person that tells the people which runs are groomed and to have a good day, and also maintaining safety. And he said, you're right. Yeah.
I like that you've already rebranded the name.
Right. Arthur, could you have them just change that?
Ski lift operator to first impressions manager. Mm-hmm. I love that.
Or maybe snow impressions manager. Maybe something that's a little bit more
that's
indigenous.
Like a snow angel. That's just a snow angel, snow impressions. So if you could take a gap year, where would you go? What would you do? I already have my answer.
Well, and what are you saying? Like, what does that mean at this stage, a gap year? Like when I was 21 and I could take a gap year, before high school or after high school, before college gap year? Or are you saying if I took a gap year right now in present time?
Right now. But, don't worry about Levi, who's still in high school.
Like, what about my children? Okay. So forget about work and kids and responsibilities.
Right. But let's say like he could do school from wherever you're going.
Yeah. Okay.
Right.
Oh, so I bring him with me. See, this is all important information.
Yeah.
If you take a gap year, you're going with your whole family? That's what you're saying?
Or not. Yeah. Yeah. Or not. Whatever. This is make believe. So
I know, but I'm also I'm a little OCD.
Information.
Yeah. I'm a little detail oriented. Yeah.
So let's say Levi is with you, because in my situation I also have to bring my dogs.
Oh gosh, that's.
But it would be easy. I would be able to get them there.
All right, where are you going?
Okay, so evidently there's this island off the coast of Ireland where they're looking for a couple to run a pub, right? And it's like beautiful and isolated. And I was like, that would be so fun. Aaron and I could go run the pub. Milo is a Great Pyrenees. This is perfect weather for him. There's probably some sheep.
Yeah.
And we bring our dog, and the kids are doing virtual school. And they would have all these little Irish friends. We could get them sweaters. And
How did you find out about this place? Was this on like Craigslist?
No, there's been like a viral article about it. I'm sure at this point they
have like a million people who've all applied.
It's been since February. It's been going around since February. It's like when you see a puppy that someone's like trying to get a home for, and you're like, that puppy has a home.
Right.
There's like 10,000 likes, right?
Yeah,
at this point, that puppy's got a home. The puppy.
But
wouldn't that be? I mean, Ireland. I don't have to learn a new language.
Yeah.
Although I have to say, and I went to school in Boston for college, as you know, but maybe some of our listeners don't. And there were a lot of Irish guys there, and I got in trouble once because I was at a bar and this guy started speaking to me. He had a very thick Irish accent. I couldn't understand anything he was saying. I kept on just saying yes, I should have just been saying no, because at a certain point I go, yeah. And then he like leaned in tried to kiss me. And I was like, oh, no, I don't know what I said yes to. I'm sorry. I can't hear you and I can't understand you, but I understand your body language. And now I'm saying
and that's
no.
a hard no. Yes.
Right.
Well, I think at this point, if we were going to take Levi with us too, I would maybe go to New Zealand because, we have time.
Yeah.
It's, maybe not a direct flight from Atlanta, but I could, get there easily on Delta, which I have been accruing all these miles. Later. Yeah. And I am obsessed with Jacinda Ardern, who's the prime minister. Do you watch her on Facebook?
No. Should I
Okay.
should start watching
You should
her.
start watching her. So she is the reason, really, that I started doing this weekly call-in or a Facebook live show with a local pediatrician, Dr. Kaufman, called Calling Dr. Kaufman, a little promo for that we do every Wednesday. And it's because, really, my friend Kathleen is also, well, she was initially the one obsessed with Jacinda. And she's like, do you know about this woman? She's amazing. She's a prime minister, but she's a mom. And she just makes everything so accessible. Like, she does these Facebook Live updates in her pajamas, right? She's like, I've just put down my 3-year-old and I'm sitting on my bed drinking my coffee, and here's the update on the whole country. But she's like traveling around to all these little towns within New Zealand, and she is hardcore about stopping COVID. They are not about limiting it or reducing it. She wants to 100% just eliminate it. And so they are hyper vigilant, and they have been hyper vigilant. And I think they have from what I understand, fairly low numbers that may have changed over the course of the past few weeks or so, but she's just awesome. So I figure anybody, who's running their country like that,
Right.
the rest of the country's got to be awesome. And it's far, right? It's one of those
It's so
places
far
where
away.
you have to have a dedicated amount of time to really go. I would
To
try
travel
to,
and then stay there.
yeah,
Well,
I'd want to rent a house, right? Like rent somebody's house who has left. I'm not sure anybody's actually left the country, but like really live with the locals, right?
I love living I love living with the locals. That's really hard to say,
Yeah.
by the way. I do. Like when we go on vacation, we just want to go wherever the locals are.
Absolutely.
But guess how big New Zealand is? Do you know? Compare it to like a state or the United States. How big do you think it is?
Is it the size of New Jersey?
It's the size of, I don't know how big New Jersey is compared to this other state. So it's the size of Colorado.
Oh, that's bigger. So I always say,
Yeah.
I guess that's true because Israel, I think, is the size of New Jersey, maybe.
Yeah, that's
so
what it
it's the
is.
size of Colorado. What's the population?
It's just over 4.5 million people, which is basically comparable to the population of Louisiana.
Right. Because Tennessee has a little over 6 million.
Yeah.
So, okay.
But yeah, that's New Zealand's also on my list, but also there are all the animals there.
And I don't know how far you would be from me, but we could come over and visit you at the pub. I mean, we'll have time. It's a whole gap year.
Well, maybe there's an island off the coast of New Zealand that has a pub that's looking for a couple and 2 dogs. Also, Milo would do really well in New Zealand. I'm just making this up. I don't even know. They have winter there? I'm sure they do.
Yeah, but it's opposite. So everything's right. So their winter is during our summer.
You know what's in New Zealand?
Cows.
The Shire. The Shire from The Hobbits, Lord of the Rings. Did you not
Okay.
watch that trilogy?
Maybe.
Oh my God. And I want to go. I told Aaron I want to go. Like, if I was going to go hang out with some fictional character, it'd be like the Hobbits. They have fun. They do. The Hobbits are much like the Goldsteins. Then I'm saying we have like big hairy feet, but like on your birthday, you're supposed to like give presents to people or whatever. And that sounds like something you'd want to do. But they have really good parties, the Hobbits. And that's the whole Hobbit landscape is based off of New Zealand.
Okay, the landscape is real, but they're not. They're not going to be there.
What?
The hobbits, they're not real.
What do you mean? The Hobbits have 3 synagogues in the Shire,
Yeah.
just like other Jewish communities.
So, I have a friend who actually did take a gap year and
Yeah.
a little bit more than, hold on, there it is.
Oh, she wrote a book about it?
Mm-hmm. Okay, I found it so my friend Tracy Karish took a gap year before, this is years ago.
Before people were gapping.
Before people were gapping, right. Before people were even, well, number one, maybe there were students taking gap years, but this is before people were, buying and renting RVs and really sort of redefining their lives. And she was in Chattanooga. They have 3 daughters, and they literally, sold their house, gave away almost all of their belongings. They each had maybe a suitcase, maybe 2. Really, really limited. And then they just went off around the world. And for 18 months around the world. And so she ended up writing a book called Excess Baggage. That's what I was trying to find. And oh, wow, look at the back. Look at all the accolades. Oh, there might be one. Oh, man, from Alison Lebovitz of The A List. Yes.
Oh.
So Anyway,
Oh,
it is
shameless
really
plug.
it's a great book. She has just an awesome voice and very authentic and just just tells all these different stories because it was an unanticipated adventure, right? And everything was, they stayed in places sometimes a few days, sometimes a few weeks or months, and just what they learned and just what her family learned about what was sacred, right? And what was important. And even when they came back, they're now in Colorado, but they talk about like, and I don't know if they still do it. I imagine they do, but when they would purchase anything of any value, right, like of a greater value, they will have a family meeting and really talk about like, do we need this, right? Unlike me, who I've now purchased like 17 different appliances during COVID just because I'm tired of the same food, right? And now have like an air fryer and a sous vide, and well, that was a gift. But the point is, right? If I were to purge half the stuff in my house, I probably wouldn't miss it. She's taken the opposite route. She got rid of everything, and now as they add on, it has to be very deliberate and thoughtful and intentional in approach. Anyway, it's a great
How
read
many
and it's a great lesson.
how many years ago did she do that?
Oh gosh,
When did she publish it?
I will tell you. Hold on.
I'm just curious how old her kids are now and when they.
Yeah, so
I'm.
this was 2018. This is not that long ago.
Oh, yeah.
But I'm trying
Is
to
she
think.
back in Chattanooga?
No, so you're not listening. They now live in Colorado.
I'm sorry. You're right. I wasn't listening.
It's okay. It's okay. But like at the time the kids were younger. I mean, like I want to say like maybe like 6, 8, and 10 or 8, they were not 3 and 4 and they were not 16-year-olds, right? They were sort of at that perfect end of elementary, beginning of middle school age where they could homeschool and take them out. And I'm sure it was a scary notion for all of them, but especially, when you're a preteen girl and your parents are like, yeah, we're going to go travel the world for 18 months. It's going to be just the 5 of us. But it really was a remarkable experience and brought their
No,
family
thank you.
so close, so close.
Okay. I could not do that.
That's not your
No.
gap year experience?
No, and I'd rather settle and have a home base and travel from there, but have the ability to get to know people.
And they
right?
did. Oh, they really
I'm
infused
sure
themselves
they've-
into the culture and
Look,
civilization.
I'm
Right.
sure they met so many people, but it's not the same as staying in one place and really making connections with people that are long term where you can see them throughout a year or whatever.
Right.
Right. And in that situation, you have to be super outgoing too. And even me, who I am an outgoing person, that would still be out of my comfort zone to have to constantly be making new friends. And then I just kind of want to like hang out with the same people. Not the
Yeah.
same people, but you know what I mean? Like if I'm going somewhere, I want to like be with the culture, get to know people, and then be like, hey, where do you guys go on vacation? And then go there for like the weekend and then come back to my pub that's on the island off of the coast of Ireland.
Ah, there
I
you
would
go.
get so
I
fat.
can't wait
if
for you to start running that pub.
drinking Guinness for breakfast.
Right. Right. Well, I think at the end of the day, I think all of this has made us in some form realize what is sacred and what we have taken for granted and what we need to celebrate, right? And that I know a lot of people who, if their kids are virtual, they are doing just that, right? They're going to the national parks or they're doing things where they can be outside because they don't have to necessarily stay home. And Arthur, right? He has a lot of friends who are still going to college remotely, but they've got a house with their friends in a different part of the world. They didn't have to go back to that college town. They can live anywhere. I think all of this is going to change the way we view the world. We view education primarily. We view
Right.
work, like what work looks like. I think I've said one of my favorite memes at the beginning of all this was it said, oh, so I guess that job that your boss told you absolutely could not be done remotely can be done remotely. So there, right? And I know I have a friend whose sister-in-law just moved here to Chattanooga from Boston because, everything has turned remote and they can basically live anywhere now. So why they loved Boston, but the cost of living was sky high. So they can, for half the money, get a great place here, be near family and still do the
Right.
same work. So
Yeah.
it's changing commerce. It's changing everything. I think, look, there's a lot of downside. Don't get me wrong. I'm not trying to Pollyanna the whole situation, but I think it is definitely, there's the new normal that we're experiencing now. We're never going back to the old normal. We just aren't. We may not be
No.
moving to run a pub in the UK or wherever that is, but
All right, enough COVID talk.
I
I need to
know,
take
I
a
know.
gap
It's
year,
so
a gap year from talking about it.
yes, I know. All right, and other exciting news. I'm not sure if I told you this, but the day before I turned 50, guess what I got in the mail?
A Victoria's Secret catalog.
No, that is not the correct answer. The correct answer is an application for my very first AARP card.
Oh, congratulations, old person. You're now put into the same category as mommy and
I
daddy.
know.
I love calling them AARP. That is like my nickname for them because it bothers them and it makes them laugh at the same time.
Well, Mom will be the first to admit, though, it comes with some very handy discounts. And I love the story she tells about going to the movie theater once, when we used to go to movie theaters, and she forgot her ARP card because you get, is it $1 discount? I don't know, maybe it's significant. And she's like looking at her purse and Daddy doesn't have it. And she's like, oh, I'm so sorry. I can't find my ARP card. And finally the 20-year-old person taking tickets said, ma'am, it's okay. Nobody really, has a fake ID for an ARP card. I believe you. I'll give you the
that's
discount.
funny.
Yeah. So I'm telling you, the day before my birthday, this shows up in the mail. So how did they know, right? How did
do
they
they
track
know?
me down? Yeah. How did
Through
they
Social
know?
Security? I
Well,
don't know.
they say, right, like that the old people, ARP is like one of the most like fervent lobbyists on the Hill, right? Like don't mess with old people.
What are they? Is it a what is AARP?
The
Like what?
Association for the Advancement of Retired People. But I'm not
but is
retired.
it-
Clearly, I'm not retired. I can't even take a gap year to New Zealand. I mean, I have no
know, but-
flexibility.
But is it like a lobbying group? Like, what does the AARP do? Like, I don't understand. Besides give you discounts to the movies and like at fast food restaurants or whatever, like what?
It
Like,
feels
what
like
is
AAA for old people, older
it-
people. Like, I don't know. Look it
Is
up.
it
Go
as-
to our research department. Ask our
Is it
research department.
associated
What
with the
is
government?
AARP?
But,
No,
like,
I don't think it's associated with the government. I think it's not a nonprofit. I think it's almost like I don't know what it is, but I don't think it's a nonprofit.
all it is like
I think it's just an association.
it says .org. It just says
Oh, well, that insinuates nonprofit.
it says something about discounts and loyalty program and games and financial tools and all
It's almost
this
like
stuff.
Mary Kay. I mean, I think you can.
Cost. What is it? I just don't understand. I think they're just. I don't even understand what the AARP is except for like a discount card. It's like that discount card that your kid's elementary school convinces you to buy and then you never use it. Like it's only $20.
I know. Wait, stay on that site. Does it say how much the card is? Because for me, it was $12 a year and my spouse is free. But then I was talking to somebody who told me that he got the card, person my same age, and it was $16 a year for a man, which I thought was really unusual that they would have two different price points. And they thought that it's probably because women live longer. So they'll get my $12 a year for longer than they'll get a man's $16 a year.
This says nothing about gender on how to and registration and membership. It just says 5 years for $63, 3 years for $43, or 1 year why is it cheaper? This makes no sense.
See, I get it.
Oh,
Mine's
1
much
year with
cheaper.
automatic renewal is $12.
Okay, that's what they gave me. That was the same
Right?
price.
But they want you to forget about it. So even when you're dead, it's going to be automatically renewing. It's cheaper to do 1 year with auto renewal than it is just to do a 5 year or 3 year.
Right. That makes no sense. Wait, you said 3 year is $43? That doesn't make sense. That doesn't save you money.
Well, the 1 year is the cheapest one.
Right.
We have
But do they think
officially
old
bored
people
our
can't?
fans. Like, we're spending way too much time talking about AARP, and there's no like about. What do you know what?
What are they?
I want to call them. Can we call the AARP and just be
What
like,
are you going to say? Who are you?
What do you
do?
What do you do? What do you do? I don't understand. Besides, like, they just do rewards. There's no information on here on like what they do except for give you discounts and like what's the point? I have no idea. It's a nonprofit,
Oh, it is
nonpartisan,
it is a nonprofit.
nonpartisan membership organization for people aged 50 and over. I think it's dedicated to enhancing quality of life for all as we age. We leave positive social change and deliver value to members through information, advocacy, and service. But
I
like
told
it's
you,
just
it's like having a Costco membership. You get good deals and special hours to
it all
shop.
goes
That's it.
it all goes back to high school. It feels like you're joining some club for seniors, right? You're a senior, you're in a seniors club in high school, and like
I've
there's
earned
a
it.
superlative.
I have earned it.
Most likely to use the AARP card goes to Allison.
Yeah. I gotta check it out though, because we do already have a AAA card, and I feel like that offers you the same sort of discounts. But look, all this to say is, at the end of the day, whether I was offended or not, or shocked or not, I was duly impressed with their timing. I mean, they are on the ball. We'll see if you get the same thing and when you turn 50 in many, many, many years.
That's a very long time from now.
I hope they're
So,
still in existence.
you know what's crazy? When I turn 50, you'll be almost 60.
Okay,
That's
can we
I'm
not go
rounding
there?
up.
Can we not
I'm
go
rounding
there?
up,
And I'm gonna be on my gap decade by then.
right? Then you really retire, and then
Then
it's
I can
your
really
own
use a card. Then I really will be hopefully advancing retirement.
going to New Zealand. Well, folks, we would love some fans in New Zealand. Can you make it happen? A big shout out to our one fan in Spain and Belgium. Let's make New Zealand happen. Come on, you guys. You got to know someone who knows someone in New Zealand. Tell them to listen to Sis and Tell, and then we can go stay with them when we take our gap year.
As always, this has been Amanda and Allison with a whole lot of talk about a whole lot of nothing. We'll catch you next time.